Welcome back. We're always happy to see John Montgomery, the Sheriff of Baxter County, and he's with us today talking. We're going to talk about drugs today. Let's do that.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good to you?
Sounds great to me.
Well, you got a couple things that you want to talk about, and you just told us recently, or just a few seconds ago, that you just had a recent drug buzz. Tell us about that.
Well, we just actually this afternoon had our actually our fourth meth lab bust in the last 3 weeks.
Is that on the rise?
Well, it was. Arkansas was always ranked very high as far as the number of meth labs. And a few years ago, they put the cold pills behind the counter. In fact, when you go to get
the Dristani kind of thing.
Exactly,
like
it has pseudoephedrine in it. You have to sign to get it, and that helped. But then, in fact, when they passed that law, within the first year, meth labs went down about 75% in the state of Arkansas. So it was a huge deal. However, again, the criminal mind figures out a way around it.
Yeah.
And so they started figuring out how they could hop from pharmacy to pharmacy to pharmacy and still be able to purchase them. So they now have a program that was implemented probably about 1.5 to 2 years ago, and it's called Leads on Labs, and it's a state-funded program, and actually it's funded nationally. And so what happens is those states that are involved, the pharmacies all subscribe to this program. They're required to. So when you go in and actually try to purchase that, you go into a computer database. And so
just for Dristan?
Exactly.
Any purchase, okay.
Now if it's got pseudoephedrine in it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, that may sound bad, but for you and I, it's no big deal. But you're only allowed to have 2 boxes per month. That's the law. So if you try to exceed that and you go from pharmacy A to pharmacy B,
You're going to be in the system.
you're in the system and it'll pop up and say denied.
Yeah.
So they have to have that particular.
Yes.
See, what I know about meth is like below 0. How long has it been in the area? I mean, when I was in high school, I never ever heard of it as a young person or anything like that. There wasn't any meth around here that I ever knew of.
Well, meth actually has been around for a number of years. Now, the years ago, it was a very complicated process in order to manufacture meth. It was a chemical process. It took about a week to 10 days to make a batch. I mean, and so one, it was very difficult. You had to be very knowledgeable on how to do it. And usually there's a distinct odor and some characteristics. So the neighbors and et cetera would find out about it long before you completed the process. Over the years, they have, I hate to use the word perfected the process, but they perfected the process, so now you can actually make it in a matter of hours.
I've heard that people can make it in like the back of their pickup truck.
Yes.
Rolling meth labs with a camper on top of it.
Rolling meth labs, they carry it in cardboard boxes. And again, it's kind of involved, and so instead of taking a long time to manufacture, it only takes a number of hours. Now, very dangerous. And
this is a serious felony, isn't it?
Oh yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Very serious. And some of the chemicals, and again, just rattling off a few. There's Drano, lithium batteries.
It's like rat poison or something.
Rat poison. You know, I mean, again, when you think about it, why would anyone put those chemicals? Now, here's even, that's not bad enough. Keep in mind who's actually making it. They have a recipe, and they're going to make the methamphetamine out of all these unbelievably hazardous chemicals, very volatile, that could explode even with some of the chemicals, even with a drop of water can cause an explosion. And yet the person most of the time that's making is someone that's actually using the product. So you've got someone high on meth that's making the dose that now they're going to sell and have someone else ingest in their system. I mean, it's just
Now, how do you get most of your leads? You said you've had 4 drug busts. I mean, does someone tell on them? Does somebody get suspicious? Because there's a lot of, years and years and years ago, we had a neighbor down our road, and it was like, he had a lot of company that only stayed for 10 minutes. You know, that kind of thing. And eventually, you know, people kind of mentioned that around and said, I don't want to cause anybody any trouble. But, you know, no one has that much company that stops in for 10 minutes.
right.
So is it like just suspicions like that?
There's
or?
we have a lot of help from the public. Now, and again, we've actually had more than 4 drug busts, but we've had 4 meth labs.
Meth labs,
okay. And that is, and again, there's not something that you do all the time. And actually, I would prefer we didn't have any, but unfortunately, we want to catch them if they're manufacturing. But we get a lot of things. Again, the leads on labs. If someone's trying to purchase and these pop up, for example, let's say you went to a pharmacy and you purchased your 2 boxes, and then you went to another pharmacy and they denied you, because
Yeah.
you've not been there,
Yeah.
but then you went to a third pharmacy and they denied you again, that's going to pop up and let us know that you've been trying to buy more. If we get, just like you said, we'll get calls from neighbors who say, you know, somebody's in and out here all the time. Sometimes people get jammed up. They'll get arrested on a minor charge, and
They
they'll
got
say, look,
possession,
you know, I want to help myself here. What do I got to do? And they'll give us information about labs and or drug activity. And so it's an ongoing, never-ending story. But the bottom line is, we want to protect our youth.
Yeah.
They're vulnerable, and it's important that we try to protect
Well,
them.
speaking of youth, what about marijuana, which was always the common drug when I was growing up? I mean, it was everywhere. Is that still a big problem?
It is still a problem, and I think it's a big problem. Now,
Excuse me.
you know, there's all kinds of people that tries to legalize marijuana. You hear these different groups, and you'll hear some that say, oh, marijuana is not bad. But one of the studies that, and again, it's been a year, probably 2 years ago, that I went to a class, and they actually went through and did a kind of an interview survey, some of the psychologists and stuff, and out of the people that were truly hooked on methamphetamine, I believe the number was 93% tried methamphetamine the first time while they were smoking marijuana. So you can say that marijuana is not harmful. I mean, to those
But
that
your
want to argue
judgment
that,
is zero.
your judgment goes to zero.
Yeah.
And so, and it's, you know, it's just, it's not good, and it's illegal.
Yeah.
So, again, it's a never-ending problem.
Let's talk about K2. Is that a drug?
K2 is a spice. It's another name. It's called spice. It goes by several different names, but that's the two most common. And we're starting to see it in this area. The scary part about K2 is it is actually not regulated at this moment. Now,
Because isn't it an incense or something is what they call it?
It's an incense, but they spray it with a chemical. And the chemical's manufactured in China.
Oh boy, I got lead in it.
Okay, and so what happens is that and again, originally it was not designed to be smoked, but that's what they're doing. It's a synthetic marijuana, and so because of it, it's extremely dangerous. And there's not even been any long-term studies, but even the short-term studies have shown that there's been deaths. It causes your body temperature to just go out of sight, your blood pressure, heart rate. I mean, it is a very, very dangerous drug. And because it's not regulated and it's not illegal, now there's some states that have passed regulation. Already met with our local senator and representative. There will definitely be bills that will be introduced. The health department's even looking at it in the state of Arkansas to have an emergency, kind of an emergency ban.
Right.
And then we in Baxter County passed an ordinance. It is against the law to possess or use K2 spice here in Baxter County. That actually went into effect July 1.
Or sell it, so stores
sell
can't
it.
stock it.
Correct.
Well, you would think there'd be enough public pressure on convenience stores or whoever would sell this stuff that, you know, voluntarily.
Well, you hope so.
You would hope so.
The problem has been is nobody really knows a lot about it, and so that's part of our goal. Is not only when we got our quorum court to pass that law, was to educate the public, and that's why there were some articles in the newspaper and on the radio and so on and so forth, and we did press releases talking about K2 and all the dangers. You can actually go on and Google, you know, for example, K2 on the internet, and it's bad.
So, but there are the legitimate use for it is as an incense,
As an
correct?
incense, Yeah.
So
correct.
there are other incense, because this has already gone through the editorial section of the Harrison paper a few weeks ago, and there were people writing in, what are you going to ban next? You can regulate behavior and yada, 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 yada. You know, and then kids will sniff glue and kids will do this. But glue has another legitimate, a legitimate use, as does, you know, I remember as a teacher we'd have these workshops, and kids would spray like fabric guard on their jacket, and they'd say if you see them holding their jacket up, leaning down, no, they're sniffing, they're huffing on their jacket. I was like, complete revelation to me, that sort of stuff.
Right.
But there are plenty of other instances in whatever it is. So to me, I don't see any problem with outlawing this. It has no practical use other than an incense, and there's a gazillion types of incense out there.
Correct.
So I don't. Mark my words, Johnny Keys and all you other legislators, I see no problem with it.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Yeah, and I think you'll see that. I think you'll see it banned here.
Yeah.
I really do. And the health department, the reason the health department is really taking a strong look at it. Now, Baxter County wasn't the first. I can't remember. I think we were the third county. There's probably a half a dozen cities, and now since then, there's been several more that have banned it. but the legislature doesn't start again until January.
Yeah.
And so that's why the health department's looking at it sort
As
of
an
an
emergency.
emergency
Yeah,
type thing.